Emily believed she had already paid too dearly to save her sister's life. After all, that night, she gave what was most intimate to her to a man capable of destroying any soul. Years later, when she finally thought she was free from it all, a reunion with her first love made her wish to disappear. Because certain sins don't fade with time, and the past always demands its price. If intense and unexpected love stories like this touch your heart, subscribe to our channel and comment what you thought. Every day we post new plots that move and surprise. Discover now the romance that no one dared to live. The icy January wind cut through the streets of Newport like a sharp blade, carrying with it the salty smell of the sea and the unfulfilled promises of a winter that refused to end. Emily Adams adjusted the scarf around her neck and quickened her pace along the wet sidewalk, her low heels echoing in the silence of the early morning hours. 5 years. 5 years since she had left that coastal city behind, swearing never to return, never to step on those stones that still held the echoes of her fall. But fate has a cruel sense of humor, and Emily discovered this in the worst possible way when she received Lily's call the night before. "Em, I need you. It's urgent." Her younger sister's voice trembled on the other end of the line, filled with an anguish that Emily knew all too well. "I'm in trouble. Big trouble." Now, walking through the empty streets toward the address Lily had given her, Emily felt the past resurface like a dark tide, dragging with it all the secrets she had tried to bury. The building in front of her was elegant, modern, nothing that suggested the type of establishment she suspected it to be. But Emily had learned that the worst traps always came wrapped in gold paper. She pushed through the glass door and was greeted by an impeccable receptionist who led her through carpeted corridors to a private room on the top floor. Emily's heart raced when she recognized the environment. Dark leather furniture, walls covered in fine wood, and that unmistakable smell of expensive whiskey and power. "You came." The deep voice echoed behind her before she even turned around. When she finally did, there he was, Victor Blackwood, the man who had haunted her dreams and fueled her nightmares for 5 years. Taller than she remembered, more elegant too, wearing a dark suit that seemed to have been tailored directly onto his body. But it was the eyes that paralyzed her. Those black eyes that seemed to see through her, dissecting every thought, every secret she tried to hide. "Where is Lily?" Emily's voice came out weaker than she intended. Victor approached slowly, like a predator who knows his prey has nowhere to run. Safe, for now. He stopped just inches from her, and Emily could feel the heat emanating from his body, the masculine scent that awakened memories she preferred to forget. "The question is, what are you willing to do to keep her that way?" "Anything." The word escaped before she could contain it, and Emily saw a slow smile form on his lips. "Anything is a very dangerous word, Emily, especially coming from you." He walked to a side table and poured 2 glasses of whiskey, offering one to her. Emily hesitated, but eventually accepted. The liquid burned her throat, but also brought a liquid courage that she desperately needed. Lily got herself into debt, a lot of debt. Victor spoke unhurriedly, savoring each word. Gambling, credit cards, loans from people who aren't usually very patient with defaulters. "When she looked for work here, I knew exactly who she was. Sister of the woman who marked me forever." Emily swallowed hard. "She doesn't know." "No, she doesn't. Yet. But that can change quickly depending on your choices." Victor approached again, this time extending his hand to touch her face. Emily instinctively backed away, but he was faster, holding her chin with gentle firmness. "You're more beautiful. Maturity suits you. Don't touch me." Emily tried to move away, but her legs wouldn't obey her brain's commands. "You say that, but your body tells a different story." His thumb traced a soft line along her cheekbone. "Your heart is racing. Your pupils are dilated. You can lie to yourself, but not to me." Emily closed her eyes, trying to block the hypnotic effect he had on her. "What do you want?" "You know what I want." His voice was a harsh whisper against her ear. "The same thing I've always wanted. You. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago." "No, you're not. You're stronger, more determined, more interesting." Victor stepped back, but not before leaving a light kiss on her temple. "You've built a new life. Teacher, right? Respectable, admirable." Emily opened her eyes, surprised. How do you know? I know everything about you, Emily. I know where you live, where you work, who you date. I know you avoid mirrors and wake up screaming at least twice a week. I know you still can't fully give yourself to any man, because a part of you still belongs to me. His words hit her like well-aimed punches. Emily turned abruptly, walking to the window that overlooked the harbor. Down below, the ship swayed gently in the dark waters, and she wondered if it would be easier to simply jump and end it all. Lily can be free from debt, Victor continued, approaching from behind. She can start over. But you know the price. I won't sell myself again. I'm not asking you to sell yourself. I'm offering something different this time. His hands landed on her shoulders, and Emily felt a shiver run down her spine. Stay with me, not for one night, for as long as I decide. Emily turned to face him, her eyes blazing with anger. You're crazy if you think I'll accept that. Then your sister will discover where the money that saved her life 5 years ago came from. She'll know that her older sister, the one she admires so much, prostituted herself to pay for a surgery. She'll know that you've lied to her all these years. Emily's world collapsed. She held onto the window ledge, her legs failing. You wouldn't do that. I would do anything for you, including destroying your life if necessary to bring you back to me. Victor approached again, this time encircling her arms. But I prefer the more pleasurable option. Emily tried to struggle, but he held her firmly, not hurting her, but making it clear there was no escape. You have 24 hours to decide. Tomorrow night at 10, I'll be waiting for you in the same place where we first met. If you come, Lily will be free. If you don't come, he shrugged. Well, you know the consequences. What if I tell everything to the police? Victor laughed, a low, dangerous sound. You think I got to where I am without protection? Besides, what would you say? That you prostituted yourself 5 years ago and are now being blackmailed? That would only confirm everything I might say about you. Emily knew he was right. She knew she was cornered, with no way out. But a part of her, a dark and dangerous part that she had been trying to suppress for 5 years, was excited by the possibility. The part that still desired that man, that still missed the intensity and danger he represented. You're a monster, she whispered. Yes, I am. But you've always known that. And yet, you come back to me. Victor tilted his head and kissed her, a gentle kiss that quickly transformed into something more urgent, more possessive. Emily tried to resist, but her body betrayed all her intentions, responding with a hunger that frightened her. When they finally separated, both were breathless. Victor smiled, satisfied. 24 hours, Emily. Don't disappoint me. He stepped away, walking to the desk where he placed some papers. Before you go, I want you to see this. Emily approached reluctantly and saw photographs spread across the desk. Photographs of Lily entering and leaving the building, of Lily talking with well-dressed men, of Lily counting money. Her stomach revolted. She doesn't know what she's doing, Emily murmured. No, she doesn't. But she's learning fast. Has a natural talent for it, just like you. Victor gathered the photos and put them in an envelope. 24 hours, Emily, don't forget. Emily left the building staggering, as if she had taken a beating. The cold night air hit her like a slap, waking her from the trance she had been in since she arrived. She walked aimlessly through the empty streets, trying to process everything that had happened. 5 years. 5 years trying to rebuild her life, trying to convince herself that she was a different, better person. 5 years fleeing from a past that now caught up with her like a vengeful shadow. She stopped in front of a store window, observing her reflection in the glass. She was still beautiful, she knew that. At 28, she had the maturity that at 23 she had lacked. But behind the polished surface, she could still see the fragments of the woman she had been. The fragments of a purity she would never be able to recover. Her phone rang, startling her. It was a message from Lily. Thanks, sis. I don't know what you talked to him about, but he said my debts have been cleared. Love you. Emily closed her eyes, feeling the tears burn. Lily was safe, for now. But at what price? When she reached her apartment, it was almost dawn. She took a long, hot shower, trying to wash away the feeling of Victor's hands on her skin. But she knew it was futile. That man was branded on her soul like a hot iron, and there wasn't enough water in the world to erase that mark. She lay in bed and tried to sleep, but sleep didn't come. Instead came the memory of that first night 5 years ago. The memory of the desperation that had led her to him, of the fear she had felt, but also of the strange attraction that had been born in the midst of all that darkness. Victor was right. A part of her still belonged to him, and perhaps always would. At 7 in the morning, her alarm went off. Emily got up like a ghost, prepared for another day of classes, another day of pretending to be a person she perhaps had never really been. But as she got ready, she couldn't stop thinking about the ultimatum she had received. 24 hours. And after that, her life would never be the same again. When she left home, she noticed a black car parked across the street. The glass was dark, but she knew someone was watching her. Victor wasn't joking. He really did know everything about her. Emily walked to the bus stop, feeling the weight of the invisible gaze on her back. 24 hours. Time was passing, and she still didn't know what her choice would be. Or maybe she did. Maybe she always had. The question that haunted her wasn't whether or not she would go to the meeting. The question was, what would remain of her after she went? Lincoln High School had never seemed so welcoming as on that January morning. Emily crossed the familiar corridors, greeting colleagues and students, desperately trying to cling to the normality she had built with such effort. Each smile she forced, each "good morning" she murmured, was an attempt to convince herself that she was still the same person she had been the day before. But the school walls seemed to echo with Victor's ultimatum. 24 hours. The words resonated in her mind like a funeral bell, marking each second that passed. "Emily, are you okay?" Matthew Anderson's voice brought her back to reality. He was standing at the door of her classroom, holding a steaming cup of coffee, his brown eyes filled with genuine concern. Matthew, the man she had reunited with 3 months ago when she began teaching at that school. The man who represented everything she had lost and could never have again. At 32, he maintained the same gentleness that had won her over in adolescence, but now tempered with a maturity that made him even more attractive. A widower for 2 years, father of a 5-year-old boy, Matthew was the embodiment of the stability that Emily so desired. "I'm fine, just a little tired," she lied, forcing a smile. Matthew didn't seem convinced. He approached, placing the cup on her desk. "You don't look fine. You're pale." He extended his hand, gently touching her forehead. No fever, but his touch made her shudder. Not with the intensity that Victor's fingers provoked, but with something completely different. Matthew represented safety, affection, the possibility of a clean and true love. Everything she had lost the right to have. "Matthew, Emily moved away softly, unable to bear the kindness in his eyes. "I need to prepare for class." "Of course." He backed away, but didn't leave the room. "Emily, I know we're still getting to know each other again, but if you need anything at all, I'll be here." The sincerity in his voice almost made her crumble. Emily nodded, not trusting her own voice. Matthew hesitated for a moment, as if wanting to say something more, but ended up leaving her alone with her demons. The classes passed like a blur. Emily functioned on autopilot, explaining American literature to restless teenagers, correcting essays, pretending that her life wasn't crumbling again. But with each passing hour, the pressure in her chest increased. During the break, she locked herself in the bathroom and called Lily. "Em, glad you called." Her sister's voice sounded excited, free from the worries that had tormented her the night before. "I don't know how you managed it, but that man said all my debts have been cleared. I can start over." Emily closed her eyes, trying not to imagine what Victor had told Lily about the agreement they had made. "That's good, Lily. I'm happy for you. But there's something strange," Lily continued, and Emily felt her stomach tighten. "He said I should avoid talking to you for the next few days, that you were going through a difficult time and needed space." Emily gripped the phone tightly. Another move by Victor, isolating her, cutting her support ties. "Lily, listen carefully. If something happens to me, if I disappear or... Em, you're scaring me. What's going on?" "Nothing. Forget it. Just promise me you'll be careful, that you'll avoid dangerous places, dubious people." "I promise. But you also have to promise me that you'll take care of yourself. After everything you've done for me." Emily hung up before the tears came. Lily had no idea what she had done for her, the price she had paid. And if Victor fulfilled his threat, she would soon know. The rest of the day dragged on like an agony. Emily tried to concentrate on her classes, but her mind was constantly returning to the decision she needed to make. Each time she looked at the clock, she saw the hours decreasing. 7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours. At 4 in the afternoon, when the students finally left, Emily found herself alone in the classroom. She rested her head in her hands, trying to find a way out, any way out, but all the doors seemed blocked. Thinking of running away, Emily abruptly raised her head. Victor was standing at the door, as elegant as ever, but this time wearing more casual clothes, dark jeans and a white shirt that highlighted his tanned skin. He looked completely out of place in that school environment, like a wolf in a field of sheep. "How did you get in here?" Emily stood up, her heart racing. "I have my ways." Victor entered the room, closing the door behind him. "I came to see how you were handling our conversation from yesterday." "Get out of here. This is a school." "I know where I am." Victor approached slowly, examining the environment. "So this is where you pretend to be a respectable person. Interesting." He stopped in front of her desk, picking up a copy of The Great Gatsby. "How ironic. What do you want?" "I want to know your answer." "I still have time." "You do, but I'm impatient." Victor set down the book and moved closer. "You know what I discovered about you in these 5 years, Emily. You've become a much better liar." Emily backed up until she bumped into the blackboard. "I'm not lying. You are. You lie to your colleagues, to your students, to yourself. You pretend to be a person you never were." Victor extended his hand, touching her face again. "But you can't lie to me. You don't know anything about me. I know everything." His fingers slid down her neck, making her shiver. "I know you have nightmares every night. I know you avoid serious relationships because you're afraid to give yourself. I know you think of me every time you're with another man." Emily tried to move away, but he held her by the arms. "That's not true." "No? Then tell me, Emily. How many times have you tried to make love with another man and my face appeared in your mind? How many times have you screamed my name without realizing it?" Emily's face burned with shame, because he was right. In the few times she had tried to be with someone, she always ended up thinking of him, comparing, and inevitably pulling away. "You did me a favor," Victor continued, his voice low and hypnotic. "You taught me that some people are made to be ours. You are mine, Emily. You always have been, always will be. I'm not yours." "Then prove it." Victor backed away slightly, but kept his hands on her arms. "Prove that you can live without me. Prove that you can be happy pretending to be someone else." Emily tried to find an answer, but the words were lost in her throat, because deep down she knew he was right. She had spent 5 years trying to be someone she wasn't, trying to erase a part of herself that was fundamental to her identity. "I know what you're thinking," Victor whispered. "You're thinking about your nice teacher, about Matthew." Emily froze. "How do you know about Matthew?" "I know everything, remember? I know he's in love with you. I know he offered you a normal, respectable life. I know you almost accepted." Victor smiled, but there was no humor in his eyes. "I also know you could never be happy with him." "You don't know anything." "No? Then why are you here trembling in front of me instead of being in his arms?" Victor moved closer, pressing her against the blackboard. "Why does your body react like this when I'm near?" Emily could feel the heat emanating from him, the smell of his skin, the intensity of his eyes. She hated herself for still being affected by him, for still desiring a man who represented everything wrong in her life. "You know what bothers me, Emily," Victor continued, his voice rough. "It's not the fact that you tried to forget me. It's the fact that you failed miserably." "I didn't fail." "No? Then kiss me." Emily blinked, confused. "What?" "Kiss me. Prove you feel nothing. Prove you can touch me without falling apart." Victor moved even closer, his lips just inches from hers. "Go on, Emily. Prove I have no power over you." Emily knew it was a trap, but she couldn't resist. Leaning in, she pressed her lips against his, trying to make it a cold, emotionless kiss. But the moment they touched, it was as if an electric current ran through her body. Victor deepened the kiss, his hands tangling in her hair, and Emily found herself responding with a hunger that frightened her. When they finally separated, both were breathless. Emily had tears in her eyes, from anger, from frustration, from desire. "You see?" Victor murmured, his thumb tracing her lower lip. "You are mine. You always will be." At that moment, the door opened. Matthew entered, stopping abruptly at the scene in front of him. His face went from confusion to understanding, and finally to pain. "Sorry," he said, his voice controlled. "I didn't know you had company." Emily moved away from Victor quickly, running her hands through her disheveled hair. "Matthew, it's not what it looks like, isn't it?" Matthew looked directly at Victor, who had stepped back but maintained a satisfied smile. "Then what is it?" Victor extended his hand to Matthew. "Victor Blackwood, pleased to meet you." Matthew didn't accept the greeting. "I know your reputation." "I imagine so." Victor didn't seem bothered. "Then you know I'm not the type of man who gives up easily." "Neither am I." The two men stared at each other, and Emily could feel the electric tension in the air. Two completely different worlds, two types of love that she didn't know how to choose. "Well," Victor finally broke the silence, "I think I've disturbed enough for today." He kissed Emily's forehead, ignoring her withdrawal movement. "Remember what we talked about. See you soon, teacher." He left the room, leaving Emily and Matthew in an awkward silence. Matthew closed the door and approached her, his eyes full of concern. "Emily, who is that man?" "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" Emily turned to the window, unable to face his gaze. "Someone from my past. Someone who should have stayed there." "Do you still love him?" The question caught her by surprise. Emily turned to Matthew, seeing the vulnerability in his eyes, the same vulnerability she had learned to love in the last few months. "It's not love," she whispered. "It's something darker, more dangerous." Matthew approached, taking her hands. "Emily, if you're in danger, if this man is threatening you, it's not that simple. Then explain it to me. Let me help you." Emily looked at those hands holding hers, gentle hands that would never hurt her, that would never force her to do something she didn't want to do. Hands that represented safety, stability, true love. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't drag you into this." "I'm already dragged in." Matthew touched her face with delicacy. "From the first day you arrived here, I knew there was something special about you. Something that made me want to protect you, care for you. Matthew, I love you, Emily. I know it's too soon to say this, but I love you. And if you'll let me, I'll fight for you. I'll fight against anything that's haunting you." His words broke her. Emily began to cry, not the delicate tears of a romantic heroine, but deep and painful sobs that came from a very dark place in her soul. Matthew held her, letting her cry against his chest, whispering words of comfort. And for a moment, Emily allowed herself to believe that maybe she could have that life, that clean and true love. But then she remembered Victor's ultimatum, the photos of Lily, all the secrets she carried. She remembered that she didn't deserve Matthew's kindness, that she didn't deserve to be loved by someone so pure. "I need to go," she whispered, pulling away from the embrace. "Emily, don't go. Stay. Let's solve this together." "It can't be solved." Emily picked up her bag, avoiding his gaze. "Some things can't be fixed, Matthew. Some people can't be saved. You're not one of those people." Emily stopped at the door without turning. "You don't know me, not really. If you did, you wouldn't say that. Then give me a chance to know you, the real Emily." Emily closed her eyes, feeling a piercing pain in her chest. The real Emily died 5 years ago. What you love is just a shadow. She left the room, leaving Matthew behind. In the hallway, she stumbled and almost fell, but leaned against the wall and kept walking. Each step took her further from the possibility of redemption, closer to the darkness that called to her. When she reached the parking lot, there was a black car waiting, the same car she had seen in the morning. Victor lowered the window, smiling. "Need a ride?" Emily hesitated. She still had 5 hours. She could still run away, disappear, start over somewhere else. But what about Lily and Matthew? Victor wouldn't let her escape again. "I still haven't decided," she said. "You don't need to decide now. But you need to understand that there's no way to run from who you really are." Victor opened the car door. "Get in. I just want to show you something." Emily knew that getting into that car would be taking another step toward the abyss. But she also knew that there was no choice. There had never been a choice. She got into the car, feeling the soft leather of the seat, breathing in the smell of power and danger that always accompanied Victor. He drove in silence through the city streets until they reached the pier. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and red. "You know what I think every time I come here?" Victor turned off the engine and turned to her. "I think of the night you came to me for the first time. Remember?" Emily nodded, unable to speak. "You were desperate, but there was something more. There was fire. There was a strength I had never seen before." Victor extended his hand, touching her face. "You saved me that night, Emily. More than I saved you. I don't understand. You showed me that there was still something pure in the world, something worth protecting." Victor moved closer. "I was ready to die, you know. I was tired of all this, of being who I was. But then you appeared." Emily looked at the sea, watching the waves break against the rocks. "I didn't save you. I destroyed myself. You transformed yourself. There's a difference." Victor held her chin, forcing her to look at him. "And now I want to give you the chance to transform yourself again. Not into someone you're not, but into who you truly can be." "And who am I, Victor?" "You are my equal, my partner, the only person who understands the darkness I carry." Victor gently kissed her forehead. "You are the woman I love." The words hit her like lightning. In 5 years, he had never said that, never used the word love. "You don't love me," Emily whispered. "You possess me. The two things aren't mutually exclusive." Victor smiled, but there was sadness in his eyes. "You have 5 hours to decide, Emily. 5 hours to choose between the safe lie and the dangerous truth." He took her back home in silence. When he stopped in front of her building, Emily hesitated before getting out. "Victor?" "Yes?" "If I go tonight, what happens afterward?" "Afterward, we build something new, something that neither of us has ever had before." Victor turned to her. "But it has to be your choice, Emily. You have to come because you want to, not because you have to come." Emily got out of the car, knowing that these were the 5 most important hours of her life. 5 hours to decide if she would continue living the lie, or if she would finally embrace the truth about who she really was. And deep down, deep inside, she already knew what her choice would be. The 5 hours turned into an eternity. Emily climbed to her apartment on shaky legs, each step of the staircase echoing like a countdown in her mind. 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. The living room clock seemed to have taken on a life of its own, each tick-tock hammering in her skull like a death sentence. She took a long shower, letting the hot water run down her body, as if it could wash away the confusion of feelings consuming her. But not all the water in the world could clean the mark that Victor had left on her soul. When she stepped out of the shower, she avoided looking in the mirror. She knew she would see the truth stamped in her eyes, and she wasn't ready to face it yet. At 9:15 in the evening, Emily stood before the closet, staring at the clothes as if they were instruments of torture. What does one wear for an appointment with destiny itself? For a surrender that might also be a liberation? Her hand trembled when it rested on a simple black dress, the same one she had worn on her first day teaching at the high school. The dress of the respectable teacher, of the woman she had tried to be. For a moment she considered wearing it, as a final act of rebellion against what Victor expected from her. But then her fingers found another fabric, a blood-red dress she had bought years ago in a moment of madness and never had the courage to wear. Pure silk that molded to her body like a second skin, discreet but suggestive neckline, side slit that revealed a tempting slice of thigh. It was a dress that whispered dangerous promises, that embraced every curve with the confidence of a woman who knew her own power. Emily held it against her body, observing herself in the mirror for the first time in hours. The woman staring back was neither the submissive teacher nor the frightened victim. It was someone she had buried 5 years ago, someone she had chosen to deny all this time. It was someone who perhaps deserved to be set free. She wore the red. At 9:40 her phone rang, a message from Matthew. "Emily, I'm worried. Are you okay? Can we talk?" Emily stared at the screen, her fingers hesitating over the keys. What answer could she give? How to explain that she was about to choose darkness over light, danger over safety, truth over lies? She typed and deleted 10 different messages. Finally, she wrote only, "Forgive me." At 9:50, Emily descended the stairs of the building. Her high heels echoed on the concrete like funeral music. Outside, the black car was waiting, engine running, like a patient beast waiting for its prey. Victor was leaning against the hood, magnificent in a dark suit that seemed to have been carved by a minor god. When he saw her, his eyes widened slightly, a reaction he tried to disguise but that Emily caught. For the first time since she had met him again, she had managed to surprise him. "You came," he said, his voice rougher than normal. "You knew I would come." "I hoped, but hope and certainty are different things." Victor approached, extending his hand. "You look beautiful." Emily hesitated before accepting the offered hand. The moment their fingers touched, she felt an electric current run up her arm. It wasn't just physical desire, it was recognition, as if every cell in her body finally sighed with relief at being in the right place. "Where are we going?" she asked as he opened the car door for her. "You'll see." The journey was made in silence, but it wasn't an uncomfortable silence. It was charged with expectation, with unspoken promises, with a sexual tension that made the air inside the car seem thick and electric. Emily watched the city lights pass by the window, each block taking her farther from the life she had built and closer to something completely unknown. Victor drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the gear shift, too close to her thigh to be casual. Occasionally, Emily felt his fingers accidentally brush her skin through the slit in the dress, and each touch made her tremble. "Are you afraid?" he suddenly asked. "Terrified," Emily answered honestly. "Good. Fear means you're alive." Victor smiled, but there was something gentle in his expression. "I'm afraid too." "You? Of what?" "Of losing you again. Of discovering that 5 years of waiting were in vain. Of you waking up tomorrow and running away again." The vulnerability in his voice surprised her. Emily turned to study his profile in the dim light of the street lamps. "Why do you want me so badly, Victor? There are thousands of women who are more beautiful, more easier." Victor interrupted her. "More willing? More suitable?" He laughed, a low, harsh sound. "You think I don't ask myself this every day for the past 5 years?" Emily remained silent, waiting for him to continue. "You want to know the truth?" Victor stopped at a red light and turned to her completely. "The night you came to me, I was planning my own death." Emily felt the air leave her lungs. "What?" "I was tired, Emily. Tired of being who I was. Tired of living in a world where everything had a price, where nothing was genuine. I had a gun in the desk drawer, a bullet with my name on it." Victor touched her face softly. "And then you appeared. Desperate, yes, but also brave. Willing to sacrifice yourself for someone you loved. You reminded me that there was still goodness in the world. I'm not good, Victor. Not after what I did. You're the best person I know, and sacrificing yourself for someone's good is the definition of goodness." The light turned green and he continued driving. "You saved me that night, not physically but in every other sense. You gave me a reason to stay alive." Emily felt tears burning her eyes. "Then why did you let me go?" "Because you weren't ready. Because you were broken and so was I. 2 broken pieces don't make a whole, they just cut each other." Victor turned onto a road Emily didn't recognize, heading toward the mountains that surrounded the city. "We needed to heal separately before we could be together. And you think we're healed now? I think we're ready to find out." They drove for another 20 minutes, climbing a winding road that led to the hills. Finally, Victor stopped in front of an ornate iron gate. After entering a code, the gate opened, revealing a stunning property. The house was a perfect hybrid of modern and classic, clean, contemporary lines combined with elements of American colonial architecture. It was situated on top of a hill, offering a panoramic view of the city that spread out like a blanket of stars below. "Is it yours?" Emily asked, getting out of the car. "Ours, if you want it to be." Victor walked to her, offering his arm. "I bought it after you left. I thought maybe one day we could build something here, something new." Emily accepted his arm, allowing herself to be guided to the entrance. The house was even more impressive inside. Marble flooring, elegant but comfortable furniture, carefully selected works of art. But what impressed her most were the personal details. Photographs of places she recognized as significant for both of them. Books she knew were her favorites. Flowers she had mentioned once in a casual conversation 5 years ago. "You remember everything," she whispered. I remember every word you said, every expression that crossed your face, every sigh you gave. Victor led her to a living room with an entire wall of glass that offered a view of the city. You are engraved in my memory like a blazon in hot iron. Emily walked to the window, resting her hands on the cold glass. Victor, I need to tell you some things. About these 5 years. About who I've become. I know about everything. Victor approached from behind but didn't touch her. I know about every man you tried to be with. I know about every nightmare you had. I know about Matthew. Emily turned, facing him. Then you know I'm not the same person anymore. No, you're not. You're better, stronger, more beautiful, more complete. Victor finally touched her, his hands landing on her waist. You've grown, Emily. You've become the woman I always knew you could be. A woman who lies, who hides secrets, who can't fully give herself to anyone. A woman who survived, who protected herself, who learned that not everyone deserves access to her heart. Victor pulled her closer. A woman who is finally ready to consciously choose where she wants to be. Emily rested her hands on his chest, feeling the racing heart beneath her palm. And what if I choose wrong? There is no wrong choice when it comes to following your heart. Victor tilted his head, bringing his lips closer to hers. The question is, where does your heart really want to be? Emily closed her eyes, allowing herself to feel. Not think, not analyze, just feel. And what she felt was a sense of belonging that she had denied herself for 5 long and empty years. Here, she whispered against his lips. My heart wants to be here. The kiss that followed was different from all others they had shared. It wasn't possessive or desperate. It was like a recognition, a reunion of 2 souls that had been apart for too long. Emily gave herself completely, dropping all the barriers she had built, allowing herself to be vulnerable again. When they separated, both were breathless. Victor rested his forehead against hers, eyes closed. I love you, he said, his voice full of emotion. I've loved you since the first night, but I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know if I deserved to say it. You deserve it. Emily touched his face, tracing the strong line of his jaw. And I love you too. I've always loved you, even when I tried to hate you. Victor lifted her in his arms, carrying her up the stairs to a bedroom that was pure elegance and sensuality. The bed was huge, covered with white silk sheets. Candles had been strategically lit around the room, creating an intimate and romantic atmosphere. But when Victor set her down beside the bed, he made no move to proceed. Instead, he just held her, as if he still couldn't believe she was there. Emily, if you change your mind, I won't change my mind. Emily slowly began to unbutton his shirt. Not this time. This time I'm choosing consciously. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing this. And Matthew? Emily paused for a moment, a pang of pain crossing her chest. Matthew represented everything that was good and safe in the world. But safety wasn't what her heart desired. Matthew will be fine. He deserves someone who can love him completely without reservations. Someone who doesn't have a dark past. Emily finished unbuttoning the shirt, pushing it off his broad shoulders. Someone who isn't me. Are you sure? I'm sure that I love you. I'm sure that I want to be here. The rest? Emily shrugged. The rest we'll figure out together. What happened next was a slow and intense dance of rediscovery. Victor undressed her with reverence, as if unwrapping the most precious gift in the world. Each kiss, each caress, was a silent promise, a declaration of love that transcended words. Emily allowed herself to feel everything, the desire she had suppressed for 5 years, the passion she had denied, the deep and primitive connection she had tried to sever. For the first time since that first night, she was completely present, completely surrendered. Afterward, lying intertwined between the silk sheets, Emily traced lazy circles on Victor's chest while he played with her hair. What happens now? She asked. Now we build something new, something that's ours. Victor kissed the top of her head. But first, you need to make some decisions. What kind of decisions? About your life at school, about Lily, about how we want this to work. Victor moved slightly away to look into her eyes. I don't want to take you away from everything you've built, Emily. I want to integrate myself into your life, not destroy it. Emily propped herself up on her elbow, studying his face. And your work? Your business? I've already started to move away from the more dangerous aspects. I have legitimate investments, companies that can operate in the light of day." Victor smiled. "Turns out I'm very good at making money, regardless of how. And Lily? Lily is free from her debts, but she's also out of the business, forever. I took care of that." Victor touched her face. "Your sister never needs to know about us, about how we met. That stays between us." Emily felt an enormous weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you. Don't thank me. I do this because you're worth more to me than any business, any profit." Victor pulled her closer. "You are my priority now. You always will be." Emily nestled against him, feeling safe for the first time in 5 years. It wasn't the safety that Matthew offered, based on stability and predictability. It was something deeper, more true. It was the safety of being exactly where she belonged, with the person who completely understood her. "Victor? I don't regret it." "Regret what?" "Anything. Not the first night, not these 5 years, not tonight. Everything brought me here to you." Emily kissed his chest, savoring the salty taste of his skin. "Maybe this was always my destiny." "Our destiny," Victor corrected, hugging her tighter. "Our destiny was to find each other, lose each other, and find each other again when we were ready." Outside, the city sparkled like a sea of diamonds, oblivious to the drama that had unfolded in the hills above. Emily closed her eyes, finally allowing herself to completely relax. Tomorrow she would have to face the real world, would have to explain her absence from school, would have to deal with the consequences of her choices. But tonight was theirs. Tonight was the beginning of something new, something that had been forged in the fire of passion and tempered by time and separation. Tonight, Emily Adams finally stopped running from herself, and for the first time in 5 years, she slept without nightmares. Emily woke to the smell of fresh coffee and bacon. For a moment, disoriented, she remained still between the silk sheets, trying to identify where she was. The golden morning light filtered through the white curtains, creating dancing patterns on the high ceiling. Then, the memories of the previous night came in waves. The red dress, the house in the hills, the complete surrender in Victor's arms. A soft smile curved her lips. For the first time in 5 years, she had awakened without the familiar weight of guilt and regret. Her body still bore the marks of Victor's kisses. Her skin still tingled where he had touched. But instead of the shame she expected to feel, there was only a deep sense of being in the right place. She put on the silk robe she found at the foot of the bed and went downstairs barefoot, following the tempting aroma. The kitchen was a work of art in stainless steel and white marble, but it was the sight of Victor preparing breakfast that made her pause at the entrance. He was wearing only dark pajama pants, the muscles in his back contracting gracefully as he stirred something in the pan. There was something deeply intimate in that domestic scene, something that made Emily's heart race in a completely different way from the night before. "Good morning," she said softly. Victor turned, a slow smile spreading across his face when he saw her. "Good morning, beautiful. Did you sleep well?" "Better than in years." Emily approached, accepting the cup of coffee he offered. The liquid was perfect, strong but not bitter, with just a touch of sugar. Exactly how she liked it. "You remembered. I remember everything about you." Victor approached, tenderly kissing her forehead, "Including the fact that you get irritated if you don't have coffee before 9 in the morning." Emily laughed, a feeling of lightness she hadn't experienced in a long time. "What time is it?" 8:30. "You have time before—" Victor stopped, his expression changing. "Before you have to return to your real life." Reality hit her like a bucket of cold water. The school, Matthew, the responsibilities she had abandoned the night before to follow her heart. Emily set down the cup, her stomach contracting with anxiety. "Hey!" Victor held her face between his hands. "Don't run from me now. Not after last night. I'm not running. It's just that Matthew must be worried. The school will notice my absence. Lily." Emily moved away, walking to the window that offered a view of the city below. "How am I going to explain where I spent the night?" "With the truth." Emily turned to face him, incredulous. "The truth? That I spent the night with a man who—" She stopped, realizing she no longer knew how to define Victor. "Crime boss? Ex-lover? The love of her life?" "With the man you love," Victor finished for her. Emily, last night you said you didn't regret anything. Has that changed? No. The answer came firmer than she expected. No, it hasn't changed. I don't regret it. But that doesn't make things any less complicated. Victor walked over to her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. The best things in life are usually complicated. The question is, are they worth fighting for? Emily leaned against him, feeling the strength and warmth of his body. They are. Then let's figure out how to make this work, together. Emily's phone rang, interrupting the moment. It was Matthew. Emily looked at the screen, her heart contracting with guilt and pain. Answer it, Victor said softly. He deserves an explanation. Emily hesitated, but eventually accepted the call. Matthew? Emily, thank God. Where are you? I've been worried since yesterday. I called several times, went to your apartment. Matthew's voice was laden with relief and anxiety. I'm fine, Matthew. I just needed to think about that man, about Victor. There was a pause, and Emily could hear the pain in his voice. Emily, you didn't show up at school today. That's not like you. Emily looked at Victor, who nodded encouragingly. Matthew, can we meet? I need to talk to you, in person. Of course. Where? At the park near the school. In an hour? I'll be there. Emily hung up, feeling the weight of the conversation she would have to have. Victor hugged her tighter. It's going to be okay, he murmured against her hair. Matthew is a good man. He'll understand. He's going to get hurt. He's already hurt. You're just going to be honest about why. Victor made her turn to face him. Emily, you can't live your life trying to protect everyone's feelings. Sometimes being honest is the kindest thing you can do. Emily nodded, knowing he was right. She got dressed quickly, choosing simple clothes, jeans, a white blouse, flat shoes, the armor of normality before the most difficult battle. Victor took her to the city, stopping a few blocks from the park. Do you want me to go with you? No. This is something I need to do alone. Emily leaned over and kissed him softly. But thank you for offering. I'll be waiting. No matter how long it takes. Emily found Matthew sitting on a bench under a leafy tree, looking nervous and tired. When he saw her approaching, he stood up, his face briefly lighting up before darkening again as he noticed something different about her. You've changed, were his first words. Emily stopped a few steps away, surprised by his perception. Changed? There's something different about you, in the way you move, how you look at me. Matthew approached slowly. You made a decision, didn't you? Emily nodded, unable to lie to those gentle eyes. I did. Matthew closed his eyes for a moment as if preparing for a blow. It's about him, isn't it? About Victor. Yes. You love him. It wasn't a question, but Emily answered anyway. I do. Matthew walked to the bench and sat down heavily. Emily followed him, keeping a respectful distance between them. Can you explain? Matthew asked, his voice controlled. Please. I need to understand. Emily took a deep breath, organizing her thoughts. Matthew, you know the respectable version of me. The teacher, the woman who tries to do the right thing. But there's a part of me that you've never seen, that I tried to bury for 5 years. What part? The part that is capable of dangerous passions. The part that isn't content with safety and stability. Emily looked at her hands entwined in her lap. The part that needs to feel alive, even if it means taking risks. Matthew remained silent for a long moment. And I represent safety. You represent everything that's good in the world, Matthew. You represent the kind of love that every woman should want. Clean, honest, stable. Emily turned to look at him. But I'm not every woman. I'm broken in ways you can't fix. You're not broken, Emily. You're complex, intense. It's one of the things that attracted me to you. Then you understand why I can't stay, why it would be unfair to you. Matthew laughed, a sound without humor. Understanding and accepting are different things. He turned to her. This man, Victor, is he dangerous? Emily hesitated. He can be. And yet you choose him. I do. Matthew nodded slowly. Then all I can do is wish for you to be happy and hope that he deserves you. Matthew. Emily extended her hand, touching his. You'll find someone. Someone who can love you the way you deserve. Maybe, but it won't be you. Matthew squeezed her hand briefly before pulling away. Take care of yourself, Emily. And if you ever need a friend, I know. Thank you. Matthew stood up and walked away without looking back. Emily remained on the bench, feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. It had been the most difficult conversation of her life, but also the most honest. Her phone rang. "Victor, how did it go?" "Painful, but necessary," she replied. "Where are you?" "In the parking lot behind the park. Take your time." Emily stood up, feeling as if an enormous weight had been lifted from her shoulders. There was one more conversation she needed to have, one more bridge she needed to cross. She found Victor leaning against the car, watching her approach with an unreadable expression. "How do you feel?" he asked when she got close. "Free," Emily answered, surprising herself with the truth of the statement. "For the first time in 5 years, I feel completely free." Victor smiled, pulling her into an embrace. "Good, because we have another matter to resolve." "What matter?" "Your sister." Emily's stomach tightened. "What about Lily? She deserves to know the truth. Not the whole truth, but enough." Victor held her by the shoulders. "Emily, she knows something's happening. Last night she called me, worried because you weren't answering your phone." "What did you tell her?" "That you were fine, but that you needed time to resolve some personal issues." Victor touched her face gently. "But she's not stupid, Emily. She knows there's a connection between us." Emily nodded, knowing he was right. "Shall we go to her?" "If you're ready." Lily's apartment was in a modest building downtown. As they climbed the stairs, Emily felt her palms sweat. How to explain her relationship with Victor without revealing the sordid details of how it had begun? Lily opened the door before they even knocked, as if she had been waiting. At 25, she was a younger and more innocent version of Emily. Same green eyes, same brown hair, but without the worry lines that marked her older sister's face. "Em," Lily hugged her tightly. "I was so worried." Then her eyes turned to Victor, who had remained a few steps behind. "Mr. Blackwood." "Lily, thank you for receiving us." Lily led them to the small living room, offering coffee that both declined. There was a palpable tension in the air, as if everyone knew an important conversation was about to happen. "Lily," Emily began, "Victor and I have a history." "I figured," Lily replied, sitting in the armchair facing the sofa where Emily and Victor had settled. "Have you known each other for a long time?" Emily and Victor exchanged glances. 5 years, Emily finally said. 5 years? Lily seemed confused. "But you never mentioned." "It was complicated. It still is." Emily took a deep breath. "Lily, do you remember when you got sick? When you needed surgery?" "Of course. You got the money somehow. You never told me how." "Victor helped me." Lily looked from Emily to Victor, processing the information. "Were you together back then?" "Not exactly," Emily said carefully, "but he helped me when I needed it most. And now?" "Now we're trying to figure out if we can have something together." Lily remained silent for a long moment, studying them both. Finally she spoke. "Em, are you happy?" The question caught Emily by surprise with its simplicity. "I am." "Then that's what matters." Lily stood up and hugged her sister. "You've taken care of me my whole life. Now it's your turn to be happy." When they separated, there were tears in both their eyes. Lily turned to Victor, her expression serious. "Mr. Blackwood, my sister is the most important person in the world to me. If you hurt her, I won't hurt her." Victor interrupted gently. "I promise you." Lily nodded, apparently satisfied with the answer. "Well then, I guess I should call you Victor, right? If you're going to be part of the family." Emily felt her eyes fill with tears. Family. It had been so long since she had felt part of a real family. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking, laughing, beginning to build the foundations of a new family dynamic. Lily told them about her plans to return to college, now that she no longer had debts. Victor talked about his legitimate businesses, his plans to completely move away from the world he had dominated for so long. When they finally left Lily's apartment, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. "How do you feel?" Victor asked as they walked back to the car. "Like I can finally breathe," Emily replied. "There are no more secrets, no more lies. It's liberating." "And the school?" Emily stopped, considering. "I'm going to resign." Victor turned to her, surprised. "Are you sure?" "I am. I can't continue pretending to be someone I'm not. Besides, Emily smiled, I'm thinking of doing something different, something that's really mine. What? I don't know yet, maybe write. I've always wanted to write. Emily took his hand. Or maybe we could build something together. A business, a project. Victor intertwined his fingers with hers. I like the idea. They drove back to the house in the hills in comfortable silence, each lost in thoughts about the future. When they arrived, Emily went directly to the veranda that offered a view of the city. It's beautiful, she said when Victor joined her. It will be even more beautiful when you officially live here. Emily turned to him, her heart racing. Is that an invitation? It's a proposal, not for marriage. Victor hurried to clarify, seeing her expression. Not yet, but a proposal to build something together. Slowly, at our own pace. Emily looked at the city below, at the lights that were beginning to turn on in the growing darkness. 5 years ago, she had gone down to those lights, desperate and broken. Now she was looking at them from above, whole and happy. I accept, she said simply. Victor pulled her into his arms, kissing her with a tenderness that made her melt. I love you, he murmured against her lips. I love you too. 3 months later, Emily was sitting on the same veranda, a laptop on her lap, writing her first story. It was about a woman who had lost everything and found herself in the arms of a man the world considered dangerous. It was about love, redemption, and the courage to choose happiness over safety. Victor appeared behind her, placing his hands on her shoulders. How's it going? Well, I think I found my voice. Emily saved the document and closed the laptop. Victor? Yes? I don't regret it. Regret what? Anything. Not the first night, not these 3 months, not the choice I made. Emily turned to look at him. Thank you for waiting for me, for never giving up. Thank you for coming back. They kissed as the sun set over the city. Two hearts that had found their way back to each other through the darkness. And for the first time in their lives, both felt completely at home. Lily had found a boyfriend in college, a gentle guy who made her laugh. Matthew had started dating a math teacher who appreciated his kindness without questioning his past. And Emily had discovered that sometimes, to find the light, you first need to embrace the darkness. Because some love stories aren't written in the stars. Some are forged in fire, tempered by pain, and born from the ashes of who we used to be. And those, the most unlikely ones, are often the ones that last forever.